You're very welcome back to another edition of the 1949 season. And here today for you we got the 1949 French Grand Prix from Reims. It's the fourth Grand Prix of the season, and this French race around this power circuit is throwing up a few surprises. Remember last year we saw perhaps the best race we've seen broadcast. Well, this time round got a few shots in store in terms of qualifying, because it's Giuseppe Farina who lands on pole for Maserati, and alongside him remarkably is Yves Girard-Cabin too, performing extremely strongly in his home race for Talbot Lago. Third is then another Maserati in Juan Manuel Fangio. Then we have Alberto Ascari, the highest placed Ferrari. Louis Rossier is fifth for the French Talbot Lago as well. And Raymond Sommer sixth for Ferrari. Then we have Philippe Ancelan and Benedicto Campos. Wildcard driver Henri Laveau in the Maserati just ahead of Prince Bira. Peter Whitehead for Ferrari just in front of Louis Chiron, who's all the way back in 12th. Will be disappointed with that. Reg Parnell is 13th alongside Tullio Draffenried. Then all the way back in 15th, Luigi Villaresi, a man who's been right on form all this season, not having the best qualifying session. And Luigi Fagioli occupies row 8 with him. Then is Harry Schell and Eugene Chabot. Then Maurice Trintignant and Guy Moraes. Royce Salvadori for Maserati. And then Pierre Levey, Georges Drignard and Rudy Fischer. And Johnny Claes and David Murray. So, that's the starting grid. Let's see what the race has in store then. Giuseppe Farina on pole, Cabin 2 alongside him. Who knows what is to follow next as they get off the grid and racing here. Farina gets the best start, Fangio in second position, Cabin 2 getting bogged down off the line. And we see Fangio now making a beeline for first position. Fangio into the lead, Rossier third, Cabin 2 all the way down to fifth, and now being challenged by his own teammate Ancelan. So a terrible start for Yves Girard-Cabin 2. Farina didn't get the best getaway relative to Fangio though, who now assumes the lead of this Grand Prix ahead of his Italian teammate Rossier. Good getaway from him. Could this be his weekend finally? And Henri Laveau, the wildcard Maserati driver, elevating himself all the way up to fourth and now challenging for third. Taking to the outside of Rossier, but having to pull out of that manoeuvre. Further back, Peter Whitehead 6th, Ascari has fallen to 7th from 4th on the grid. Sommer falling back to 8th as well, and Ancelan also losing out. Villaresi up to 10th already though. So the Argentinian Juan Manuel Fangio now in control of this race. Farina not too distant behind. You already get the feeling we're in for a good fight here today. Villa Racing making up for lost time and getting involved in battle there with Anthology and Ascari. It's gotten past Ascari, who's fallen even further back down to 10th now. He's had an absolutely disastrous start to today's race from 400. Anthology passes Summer as well. You can see on the timing screen in the background there. The car's making their many moves. It's all about the elite Maserati pairing at the front. Fangio and Farina making waves thus far. Laveau, what a start for him. His first Grand Prix start in quite some time. Really harrying Louis Rossier. He tries to go around the outside again of the Frenchman. He's placed Talbot Largo on the road at the moment. Again, he'll make another manoeuvre. Going up the hill and over the arch. That could well be enough to vault him into third place. Yeah, I'm not sure many would have expected before today's race. Rossier will come back at him now though. Down that massive rise. This really is a remarkable circuit in terms of its elevation. It defies all belief really when you look at it. And now to the inside, Laveau, will he hold his nerve? The nerves have to be particularly steely here at such high speeds into heavy braking. Rossier outwits his opponent. Managed to take to the inside line and that really told him in the end. Cabin 2 now will make a challenge on Henri Laveau. This is a type of performance this weekend we've never seen before from Yves Giraud Cabin 2. The carries the speed on Henri Laveau, does get past him, but Laveau can tuck right in and retaliate. Takes to the inside, he will hold that, will he? The side by side into the first corner. Laveau takes it. With a fair bit of ease to boot. Rapidly closing in once again on Rossier. There's a lot of tit for tat going on out there. Whitehead now pressures Cabin 2. Could shuffle the Frenchman out of the top 5. Sits in behind again as they go over the crest. Once you get into this position, it really is anyone's guess as to who will come out on top. Could go either way. Whitehead for now, inches in front of Cabin 2, but Cabin 2 still to the inside. He'll take a lot of solace in that fact. Cabin 2 holds on the inside. And he brushes Whitehead off. That's a very poor exit. which leaves himself open to Raymond Sommer. It's his manoeuvring. Fangio, fastest lap of the race. And Rossier sets the fastest lap now, so he really is flying. This is Sommer on his fellow Ferrari man Whitehead. There he goes, darts to the inside, gets the move done. Now we see Etan Sedan trying to join the fray. Whitehead is retaliating, coming straight back at Sommer. He gets past him, and Etan Sedan's going to do the same. So, fortunes turning very quickly indeed. Trouble further back for Luigi Fagioli, having to make an early pit stop. Assume that's due to damage. There's been a race, we thought he was going to make a pretty unrelenting charge up the field. Well, he's getting bogged down behind Prince Bira. And that is not what we would have expected. He made a good initial getaway, but now having trouble working his way further up the field is Luigi Villaresi. Etan Sedan trying to make a challenge on Peter Whitehead. Farina remains just a second and a half back on Fangio. That gap seems pretty fixed at the moment. Looking like there's a pretty good day in the offing for Maserati. Further back, Villaresi has gotten the move sort of permanently done on Prince Bira, who now fights Harry Schell. And Ascari shuffled all the way back down to 12th. Well, what can you say there? He's had a real horrendous day so far after starting 4th. A lot of side-by-side action in the midfield pack, and here's another instance of it. Peter Whitehead versus Philippe Etan Sedan. Etan Sedan looking poised for that all-important inside line into turn 1. Ascari sets the fastest lap of the race meanwhile, which really came out of nowhere. Etan Sedan had to lift there, and Sommer comes streaming right past him. As he's left vulnerable, so it's not a slam dunk manoeuvre. Around that first corner, and Philippe Etan Sedan finds that out the hard way. And he now has Luigi Villaresi gnawing at him. So Villaresi fended off, and again he himself has to lift. Ascari comes streaming through, as does Louis Chiron. And all of a sudden, Villaresi all the way back in 11th, sorry. Ascari up to 9th. It's all change here. Chiron versus Ascari. They go 3 wide here now. Ascari crowded out of that one. Villaresi threw back into the head of this trio. Ascari comes straight back at Chiron, and Villaresi looks like he has some breathing distance between himself and the two now. Chiron will challenge on the inside though. He's got a bit of an advantage going into the final corner. He takes Alberto Ascari. And Villaresi now seemingly driving off into the distance towards Etan Ceylon and Whitehead, who are duking it out. Oh, big move over there from Whitehead. Really daring Etan Ceylon to do something, and again Etan Ceylon tries to take to the inside, has to pull out of the manoeuvre, and it's an easy pass now for Villaracy, it seems, who shifts himself up into 8th position on the road now. Top 5 all reasonably spread out, first and second. Still close, but Farina daring not to make any challenge. Ascari through on Etan Ceylon now. Chiron shuffled down to 12th behind Prince Bira, who now challenges Etan Ceylon. It's a real yo-yo effect going on in places here. Etan Ceylon fires back at Ascari. Their attempt to make up for lost time when it comes to the subject of Luigi Villaracy ahead of him. See in the background there, Chiron and Prince Bira fighting, duking it out right now. Looks like Chiron will steal 11th place back. Villaracy is pulled all the way up to Peter Whitehead now, and I suspect his teammate will give way quite easily when it comes to this fight for 7th. No Ferraris in the top 5 at the moment, which is a very rare sight this season. And Sommer catches up to Cabin 2, and now there is a Ferrari in the top 5. But perhaps Cabin 2 will be able to successfully return the favour, and he goes up the inside, steals 5th. Villaracy well clear of Whitehead now. That was a very, very easy manoeuvre for him in the end. Etan Ceylon and Ascari both catching time on Peter Whitehead ahead. He's wreaking a bit of havoc in that battle between them. Outside line for Etan Ceylon, no way past there. Whitehead holds on to 8th. He's held these two up significantly. And look at that progress for Luigi Villaracy. He's right on the back of Sommer and Cabin 2 now. He really is rolling. Etan Ceylon versus Whitehead, that's rumbling on still. Etan Ceylon takes the initial advantage, but Whitehead comes right back at him. Assumes the outside line, and he'll take it with glee. Sommer versus Cabin 2. Villaracy fast approaching as well. Is there any space for him? And look at this now, 3 wide. Villaracy, I think, has the pace advantage. Pulls out in front of the pair of them and takes 5th. Sommer 6th. Cabin 2 shuffled back down to 7th. Fastest lap of the race is by Luigi Villaresi. Sommer to the inside though, he'll challenge his own teammate. And he will hold him off. Sommer into 5th. I wouldn't have thought we'd have seen that sort of fight in him. Directed towards his own Ferrari teammate. And Cabin 2 having to completely slam on the brakes there to avoid contact with Villaresi. And that will lose him a lot of time. Villaresi backed off quite significantly as well. It was good evasive action from Cabin 2 to avoid any accident there. But now Etan Senan has stolen a march on him, and suddenly Cabin 2 from 5th to 8th in the space of a few corners. Go back to the front again. Farina continually making concerted efforts to gain that little fraction more of time that he needs to make a challenge on Juan Manuel Fangio. And slowly but surely he is doing it. He's got the gap to within a second for the very first time in today's race. That would be hugely encouraging. Will he want to disturb this perfect situation for Maserati though? Gap down to 0.8. They've got 13 seconds collectively over Louis Rossier. And then it's their own teammate for the day, Henri Laveau in 4th. Competition is fierce here. Farina, well, he'll really be baying for the very first Grand Prix win in the post-war era. Bit of a struggle that he's had within this epoch. Fangio taking his first win at Pau in just his second season on the circuit. And Farina will be significantly buoyed by that second position that he picked up at Bremgarten last time out in the Swiss Grand Prix. You can see just the confidence seeping right back into this man at the moment. And he seems to really be a racer reborn right now. So we keep an eye on this battle on the main screen. And this is the challenge now. He had a run on him coming out of the final corner, down the start finish stretch. And that is very, very aggressive indeed. Pulled right over on Fangio. And Fangio will be incentivised to come right back at that. Takes to the inside. Will he make this stick? I think he will. Fangio will retain the lead. Farina having to pull out just a little bit, but he will come again. And what a battle we have on our hands now. This is the close racing for first that has deserted us thus far this season. We're getting a treat here today. Farina to the outside. Fangio closes us off. No path through there. and he would be unwise to even try at that corner when he has these long winding straight, not winding, but long straights ahead of him. Winding straight would be a paradox, of course. These vast stretches ahead of him, and that's really where you've got to make your overtaking manoeuvres, especially when Farina's in such a delicate position as to potentially disturb this Maserati 1-2 that's on the cards presently. And there he goes, dipping down, big speed gain, high octane, into the lead. Fangio slots back in behind, and he will undoubtedly go again as he steers himself to the inside line, cuts back in. Fangio now to the inside, or Farina back to the inside. Farina up the inside, and he'll take the lead. No, Fangio gets the better drive around the outside. That's remarkable from Fangio. It looked like he was down and out there, but somehow he used all the grip available to him there, all the space on the outside of that corner, and he got a great run out of it. Farina now coming back at him, and again that aggressive move over to the side, trying to show his teammate who's boss. Takes the lead over the start-finish line, and Fangio now to his favourite inside, and he has to pull out of it, and Farina now has asserted some control over this race. He's got about a second or two gap over Fangio, and that is remarkable. What a fight we've just seen there. Villaresi now pits in. First man to take his mandatory pit stop. But what a fight between Juan Manuel Fangio and Giuseppe Farina. And Farina coming out on top after a very protracted affair. Ding-dong battle. Many blows exchanged. Fangio slips back to a few seconds behind. Whitehead also pits. That's the nature of this circuit. If you have to lift off, if you put your foot on the brakes, you're going to lose quite a bit of time because it's so flat out, so foot to the floor. And quite a slew of pit stops there in the midfield. So turning our attention now to this fight for fourth. Laveau has slipped back a bit, as one might expect. Sommer has the pace advantage again, as one would expect over Henri Laveau, who hasn't seen a Grand Prix for a whole season. Really thrown in here. He's right at the deep end of this race. The sharp end of it, rather. Because he's somehow vaulted himself all the way up to fourth. And he's fighting with the Ferrari regular Sommer now. And he defends successfully from him too. Really good positioning. Farina in. And that is a surprise. That's a real surprise. I thought he would stay out for a little bit longer. So Farina defying expectations there. Coming into the pits, and he's going to have to deal with some pretty significant traffic, one might imagine. But, how much longer does Fangio have over him? And this is enough to assert any sort of significant advantage over Farina. We'll watch and see. He does have a chance to make those 3 seconds back up and make the pass in the pits rather than on track. So a lot of drivers opting to take the earlier first stop. A great deal of them ducking into the pits. And Raymond Sommer, well, Villaraci has surpassed him, and as has really bet on Ceylon, so it wasn't a particularly pleasant pit stop for Raymond Sommer. Harry Schell out of the race, mechanical failure for him. That's a bad outcome for Sommer. Villaraci has jumped him, and Villaraci really stands to benefit, it appears, from his earliest pit stop of the lot. Farina sits in fourth, delighted to see ahead of him a clear road and a clear path to defending his lead over Juan Manuel Fangio here in the French Grand Prix at Reims. It's really been quite a stirring race so far. Fangio pits immediately. So Fangio only fit for another lap, and one would expect Farina to storm past rather easily. And Louis Rossier, who was in second, also takes to the pits. So that means Henri Laveau, the wildcard driver, leads the French Grand Prix, if only for a temporary moment in time. Fangio straight out. Farina will storm right past. Rudy Fischer out of the race. Meanwhile, for Simca Gordini, cabin 2 is in. Villaraci passes him as well with ease. Rossier's held on to 5th from Villaraci, as one would expect. That will soon turn into 3rd whenever Ascari and Henri Laveau pit. Fangio has gained a bit of time though on Farina, must be said. Those 3 seconds have come back down to a second and a half. So he has gained a little bit, has Juan Manuel Fangio, from those pit stops. Alberto Ascari will have to come in soon. Fagioli makes his second stop of the day. Struggling with Albert Largo. So this is your man in the lead. Remarkably so. Don't think many would have placed money on seeing Henri Laveau at the head of this race today. That is how it's turned out. He does still have to pit, however, but he's running in a net position of 4th right now. Will Luigi Villaraci trouble him for that though? There's a distinct possibility with the sheer velocity of Villaraci at the moment. Ascari sitting in line there in the distance behind Fangio. He also pulls in for his stop, so the natural order of things will become very clear. Now, Farina in the lead, Fangio in second, Rossier to assume 3rd. And keep an eye now on Villaraci. Laveau coming out of the pits. I think Villaraci is going to take him really easily. And Villaraci 4th now. He's galloping along in the prancing horse. And his pace, this man Villaraci's pace. And he's got clear road ahead of him. His hand-to-hand combat can be a little patchy at times, but when he has a clear road ahead of him and it's just himself against the clock, He is a fearsome, fearsome opponent. He's a great deal quicker than anyone else on the road. Lavodo still running top 5, and that threat from Raymond Sommer has diminished significantly. He's had a bit of a torrid time when it comes to these pit stops. And go on board with Fangio now. Two seconds back on his teammate. And this is one to watch as well, Villarace versus Rossier. I really do suspect that Villarace will be continually gaining time on the Frenchman ahead of him, the highest placed starboard largo at the moment. The only car in the top 5 for the home manufacturer. Disappointed to see Callum 2 slide back further and further. He's down to 9th. Scari though fighting with Etan-Sellon for 7th. Etan-Sellon holding firm. And Scari really suffering another deeply frustrating day when it comes to making the pass on track. Could this be it for him now? It looks like it. Etan-Sellon had to brake significantly there. He's lost a lot of time. Cabin 2's going to come flying at him. Scari can focus on making time further up the road now. There's nobody on his back, so we might see some of his raw pace come to the fore. Cabin 2 steals 8th, but doubt he'll even take too much pleasure in that at the moment. Remains to be seen, however. I do expect Ascari to start gaining now. I think he does have that raw, hot lapping pace. Laveau slides back further, right into the grasp of Raymond Sommer, it seems. So his top 5 dream could be coming to an abrupt end. How about Louis Chiron though, all the way back in 14th? He's not having a fun day. Halfway mark of this Grand Prix. Situation, Giuseppe Farina leading Juan Manuel Fangio by 1.9 seconds. And a fight for third imminent between Louis Rossier and Luigi Villarace. This is Raymond Sommer now, ever closing. Really beginning to put the squeeze on poor Henri Laveau. Seems predestined to bow to this pressure. Here he comes, he's within a second now. Could make a challenge into the braking area, but I expect he'll wait for turn 1 now. Very conscious to get a good run out of here. Final corner of this Reims circuit. And here he goes. Here comes Raymond Sommer. He smells another top 5 on the cards. And there he goes. Can he hold it? That's the main thing. Laveau goes back in behind. Poises himself for a renewed challenge. And he's still got that fight left in him. Sommer will take back to the inside. He's not far enough along there. And he's gonna lose a second or two. And Scary will be waiting if that happens again. So the Villaracy Grossier fight has played out rather predictably here. And one really expects Villaracy to get this done pretty ruthlessly and in a very clinical fashion. This has been the trend so far for him in this race. Will Rossier be able to come back at all now? We go down the crest and approaching the final corner. It's a long run. The driver can see it the whole way, the whole time. It's daunting. It's hard to know when to get your braking right. And we see Villaracy on the inside. I really expect him to close this one out. And there he goes. Gets it done before the braking area. Can Rossier come back down the start-finish stretch? It's always possible. Tucks right in. To the inside he goes. And going over the start-finish line. Nearly has a dead heat. But Rossier unable to carry any of the sufficient pace to make a manoeuvre up the inside, and Villaracy now a starkly uncontested 3rd position on the road. And he's got a long way to go. He wants to bridge to the 2 leaders, however, who are now running into traffic for the first time today. Got David Murray have just passed, and Pierre Levey and Johnny Clace. It's a pretty endless stream of it from there on. Could leave the door ajar for a challenge, perhaps, from further behind. If it goes badly wrong for the front 2, that would be a tad unlikely, I'd imagine, today. Ascari not quite making the kind of progress one might have expected, but he is gradually gaining, and he'll be hopeful in his prospects of a top 5 today. He keeps on running in the same direction. Three-fifths of this race completed. 18 laps down, 12 to go. And is this the move that Summer has been waiting for? Will he get it done this time? We've seen similar defence from Louveau before. And will it hold true? Goes to the inside. He will hold on, it looks like. Edges Sommer out. And rendering the Ferrari driver extremely frustrated. Benedicto Campos further down the order, out of the race, I'm afraid to say. As is Louis Chiron, and a bad day. Becoming even worse for the Monegasque driver. It's been uncharacteristically poor. And honestly, I think he is significantly demoralised from the streak of mechanical failure retirements he's had. That's 5 races in a row. And Swiss Grand Prix last time made it 4. And he was so dejected. In each one of those 4 before today, he's been running in a very high position when it's happened. Today not the case, but perhaps the poorer performance is a consequence of that prevailing feeling of not being able to depend or rely upon the machinery that he has. And he's enveloped in, and it surrounds him as he drives. Can't really be emphasised enough just how important it is to have a real distinct trust in the vehicle which you're driving. Louveau still continually batting off the advances of Sommer, and the Ascari behind is fast approaching. He senses some weakness, I would imagine. So we go to the front and the continual backmarker struggle. Fangio's gained slightly, gap down to 1.5 seconds, but Farina does look like the boss today. He won't be though if Georges Grignard fights him back so adamantly. And that really was unnecessary from the back market. Roy Salvadori up next, a fellow Maserati driver. And look at the gap now as a result of Farina's struggle with Georges Glignard. It's within a second now. So Farina really got the short end of the stick there. Fastest lap of the race, remarkably, from Luigi Villaraisi. And he's sending a reminder there that he is very much present and still in this race with that. It's a warning that will be heard at the front of the Grand Prix as well, I would imagine. I don't think there'll be any real salvation from these backmarkers until the very end of the race. There's just going to be a very, very steady stream the whole way. And Farina will have to stay very, very alert indeed to make sure he isn't caught out. Gap's going in the right direction for him again though. The times in which he's not so rudely interrupted. Missed it further down the order, but Raymond Sommer has got the move done on Henri Laveau. Ascari now to challenge. Will he be held off? Looks like he will for now. Still remains ready and waiting. Right in behind. Takes. And there he goes. Got the run on him. Expertly crafted manoeuvre. Ascari up to 6th, really good overtake. But there's Sommer through as well, Laveau down to 7th. Is that trouble for Sommer now? It is, he's slowing. And he's going to retire from the race in an instant inheritance of 5th for Ascari. He now runs in the top 5. Sommer left stricken on the side of the road. Just as he got that move for 5th finally done. He has his position in the race, running in the race, cruelly taken away from him. And now that's not what anyone would have wanted to see. It's a sorry sight for sure. Eight to go here. And Farina, the gap extending as Fangio runs into some trouble behind Roy Salvadori of Great Britain. Sad for Sommer, a bit of a spanner in the works with in regards to his consistency this season. Would have loved another top 5 placing. It's been a specialty. Been consistently picking those up. Shabu in trouble. One of the back markers. And all of a sudden, with Farina forced to take evading action to avoid the slowing Shabu, Fangio's right back on him again. That's how quickly things can change, and that is why Farina is to remain continually alert here today. See it over here in the background that Shabu has stopped, the yellow flag's waving. It will surely pop up soon, and he is retired from the race. And there you go, Shabu out of this Grand Prix. But Fangio is closing. He is very close indeed now. It's 0.7 of a second. Alarm bells will be ringing now. And Fangio has the opportunity to make a move, and I think he's closing on the start-finish line. Start-finish straight. Takes to the outside, right alongside Giuseppe Farina, and he aggressively moves over, steers that Maserati, makes it as wide as possible, trying to scrub as much speed off Farina as possible, but he's still going to take to the inside, and he's going to hold. He's going to hold the position, hold the lead. Giuseppe Farina weathers the storm. Brushes off the challenge for now, but with 7 laps to go, there's plenty more where that came from, one would imagine. Fangio will gather himself. He will go again. Pulls alongside Farina once more. Over the crest of the hill. Still side by side. Farina has the inside, Fangio the outside, but that could change in all manner of times before they get into the braking zone. In complete unison there, side by side. Farina inside line, he'll hold it. He will hold the advantage once again. Fangio unable to get back through for now, but keeps the speed, maintains the speed. He's straight around that outside line on the final corner, and before they reach the start-finish line, he's back ahead of Giuseppe Farina. What a battle we are seeing here. Brilliant, clean fight for the lead. Farina now approaching once more. Crossing the start-finish line. Back into turn 1, Farina is back in the lead. He loves that run on the inside. But Fangio's carrying a lot of speed, and he can go again. He has the capability to do so. And Fangio to the inside, has to duck out of it, loses a lot of time in the process. And again, Fangio has come unstuck. He's been outwitted and outsmarted by Farina. He was able to get ahead a few times, but Farina let him have it. And biding his time. He has chosen continually throughout this race the perfect times to strike. It's been a real masterclass in racing from Giuseppe Farina. Much more experienced than his great Argentinian friend and teammate Juan Manuel Fangio. But what a day this is going to be for Maserati regardless, no matter how unhappy they'll be that these two have been decking it out like this. It's all been in good spirits. You've always felt that there's been no real risk of any collision between the two of them today. This has been a really, really good fight. Something that's really been missing all season long. So Fangio has lost a couple of seconds and he'll have once more to pick himself up, dust himself down, and maybe there's a faint chance that he can go again in the final 5 laps of this, the French Grand Prix. It's been a thoroughly entertaining affair thus far. There's plenty to fill our boots with and to discuss with it. And still, there are 5 more laps of brilliance to come. And can Fangio pull it off from here? It'll take a pretty stunning display of resilience to come back now. But stranger things have happened. Stranger things have happened. One must wait and see though. Anything to look out for further down the field? It's all quite separated at the moment. Prince Beer running in the top 10, that's nice to see. Peter Whitehead in 10th there. Surprised to see him all the way down there. He had a pretty good start to the race, but soon found himself in free fall, the Ferrari man. Speaking of Ferrari men, Villaraci still really the fastest man on the track, let down today by his poor qualifying. And whittling that gap to the lead all the way down to 15 seconds. Well, that's mightily impressive. It's got to be said, Fangio's gaining nothing at the moment, but he will be pinning his hopes on those two Talbot Lagos of Luigi Fagioli and Guy Maires. Be pinning his hopes on them, holding his teammate Giuseppe Farina up and affording the Argentinian a bit of an opportunity to get himself back into the fray here. And look at this, the two Talbot Lagos go too wide. Fagioli streams through on Maires. And Farina held up a good bit there. Pretty significant hold up there. As he came to the ailing and struggling Maires. And there goes Fangio up the inside, and what a way for this race to be decided. Potentially. If that is the case. Guy Maires putting Farina into all sorts of trouble, holding him up, scrubbing a huge amount of speed off the Italian. And that will be a heartbreaking way to lose here, if that is the case. Can he come back at Fangio? Oh dear. And I don't even know if the Frenchman did too much wrong there. Villaraci blowing up in third. Fire coming from the back of Villaraci's Ferrari. That's the first mechanical failure he's suffered from this entire season. Luigi Villaraci to retire from the French Grand Prix. It's a real surprise there to behold. Rossier, to the delight of the home crowd, is going to inherit third position. Ascari will come to fourth, and Henri Laveau, the wild card, could be on for a top 5 after all. He will assume 5th. But how about Giuseppe Farina though? That is agony for him. He's denied a Grand Prix win on those grounds, but he won't be giving up the ghost yet. Surely not. Surely can still register a bit more fight and try with all of his might to take on Fangio once again. And he will really struggle to put what has happened behind him. He looked to be in total control, but that 3-second advantage evaporated very quickly on these wide open roads at Reims. Pierre Levey out of the race, won the back markers today as well. Finch, keep an eye on the time gaps. 1.6 seems fairly consistent at the moment. But as Fangio comes up to Luigi Fagioli, that could change again. You never know. 3 laps to go here at the French Grand Prix. Fangio though headed for victory in rather cruel circumstances. It comes to the plight of Giuseppe Farina. It only really seems to be extending. That's all you can say at the moment. It is widening. Fangio approaching Fagioli. Across the start-finish line, gap up to 1.8. Will Fagioli lay down easily? 2 laps to go for Fangio to bring this one home. A thrilling race with a conclusion that feels a little bit anticlimactic, given everything that has been vested into close wheel-to-wheel racing. Here goes Fangio. This will be straightforward. He's already gotten it done. No more obstacles ahead of him now. Plain sailing to the line. Etan Senan pits in. I'm not sure what that's for. I think he must have picked up some damage somewhere, and that sends him from 6th all the way down to 10th, probably 11th, with Reg Parnell approaching. But here we are, coming on to the final lap. Fangio all but has this all but in the bag now. And Fagioli had the insult to injury and really fighting back on Farina in a manner in which he did not with Juan Manuel Fangio. And Talbot Lagos, those two, Fagioli and Maressa, they've been a real curse today for Giuseppe Farina, and they have cost him his first post-war Grand Prix win. But he feels a bit like the moral victor of today. But you can't fault Juan Manuel Fangio either, you really cannot. In his racing, he's dealt with the backmark as well. He took the opportunity when it presented itself to him. And that is what he has to do, that's what he's here to do. And it is still a very well earned and well deserved victory. But his friend and teammate Farina will be feeling the pain, I imagine. But that hurt, that anger won't be directed towards Fangio. And the great sportsman he is, he will meet the Argentinian with only benevolence. Because he's about to take his second win of the year. And Maserati's third of the campaign. Juan Manuel Fangio, foot to the floor. Today he will take the checkered flag. Fast approaching the line, flag waving. Juan Manuel Fangio wins the 1949 French Grand Prix from 2.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Giuseppe Farina, who had the advantage in hand-to-hand combat but couldn't quite dispense of the back markers, and that cost him in the end. And to home delight, third place goes to a French driver for a French manufacturer. Louis Rossier is third, with further back Alberto Ascari takes fourth on the road. And finally, the wild card, the home driver, Henri Laveau, a shock 5th position. Not the quickest on raw pace, but he was extremely shrewd today. Put himself in all the right positions. Cabin 2 and a shock second place on the grid. It only translates to 6th in the end. The Draffenries, don't know what's happened to him. Mechanical failure on the last lap, perhaps a fuel issue. I'm not quite sure. But sadly he's out, and Prince Biro, the same thing happening to him. Will he be able to cross the line? No! Oh, that's unbelievable. And Whitehead the same, the exact same position. They've all run out of fuel right on the line there. And that elevates Saint-Anselme back to 7th. Trintignant the same. It only seems to be affecting these midfield runners. We've all run out of fuel at the same place. Well, that's quite remarkable. So that's the end of this one. A rather strange final shot there, encapsulating the chaos. But it is Juan Manuel Fangio the victor, and Giuseppe Farina in second position. That will be a heartache for him, but it is his second place on the trot. He's really gathering some momentum now. Fangio also with a second win of the season. That will be a great achievement for him. Lou Rossier is third. His first rostrum finish of the year. Ascari consistent once again in fourth, but still lacking that blockbuster result. And Henri Laveau in fifth. Very impressive indeed, the wildcard Maserati. Then, just outside the top five, you've got Cabin Tournet and Ceylon. Then you've got those guys that ran out of fuel there, who were Prince Bira, Peter Whitehead, and Two Loaded Raffin Reed, and then I think Reg Parnell and Maurice Trintignant, I think they all ran out of fuel at the end there. None of them running in the top five, however, so much of a muchness. Then we come to the legitimately lapped drivers. We had Luigi Fagioli, Guy Maressa, Roy Salvadori, and Johnny Clace, and David Murray. Luigi Villaresi classified despite his late engine failure, 4 laps down. Then retirement, Pierre Levay box failure, Georges Grignard and Raymond Sommers, both suffering suspension troubles. Loose wheel for Eugene Chabot, wall elite for Chiron, puncture for Benedicto Campos. Rudy Fisher had an accident and suspension failure for Harry Schell. And then rounds out the full 26. So that concludes proceedings here today from the French Grand Prix. Fairly intriguing race on the whole, and hopefully you'll join us next time for the Zandvoort Grand Prix from the sand dunes of the Netherlands. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully see you next time, and goodbye.